people are from India. I mean, at the time everybody was like, everybody's going to India, right? So why did Indians come to Puerto Rico? Why would this occur? Well, it turns out that there's something called the aerospace industry, many billions of dollars, 600,000 American jobs. They can't go offshore. They can't go offshore. They don't have the U.S. citizenship required to work on these projects. So, we've got a solution. And this is something that I worked on with Jorge Ciudad, who was Secretary of Economic Development of Puerto Rico at the time. So we said, we now have a differentiator. And we were able to create 1,700 jobs, total 2,000 jobs, including infotech, et cetera, around this new concept. So we were able to innovate in government. So when you stay foolish, you can have an impact, an outsized impact, 2,000 jobs, if you bring the right perspective to it. It's not going to be possible if you go to Puerto Rico and say, hey, I'm going to work for Fonalleras or whoever. It's not going to happen. But there is enough opportunity, like Gianpaolo said, a lot of underserved markets that people just haven't thought to address, that we were able to address. So we were able to innovate in government. And actually that's the basis for a company that is nascent, called ClearShore. We tried to start it in 2011, that wasn't exactly the right timing. We're gonna relaunch it now. So that's another experience of what's possible in innovation. So, third company. Remember I mentioned that iCare wasn't, ClearShore wasn't like the right timing, so instead I went and helped start a company called iCare. iCare manufactures a blood glucose meter for use by diabetics. From Puerto Rico, we have a company in Florida for the US market. We have a company in UK for the UK market. That's actually our principal market is in the UK. We have our Asian sourcing done out of Singapore. We have manufacturing out of, with a contract manufacturer out of Taiwan. So this is a Puerto Rican company. Why not? There's planes, trains, and automobiles. There's nothing stopping you from building a global company from Puerto Rico. And some of what we're doing there, you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. E-commerce, we have e-commerce revenue as well. We develop software to interface with hardware, so we have our own IP around the analysis of data. We're building an application because diabetes is really a lifestyle, so it's really about how I integrate with your lifestyle, not just about the glucose monitor. And we're designing new concepts in packaging to make it easier for diabetics to perform their testing. We're doing all that from Puerto Rico. Not everything is done in Puerto Rico. This particular design was done, actually this is not the exact design, but there's another one, in Canada. And then we had the University of Toronto help us with their 3D printers, and we were able to print it and then go to exhibit the product in Europe, which is our principal market. All from Puerto Rico. Because it's a modern world. And there's an internet, and you can do it. Now, this company, we did raise about $700,000 from private investors in Puerto Rico. They exist, but they're not really angels, etc. They're just rich people that you, if you network, you can know. That exists everywhere, but they're not angels. Because this is a hardware company, you actually have to buy inventory. The notion that you can build a global company from Puerto Rico should be very present to you. No, don't think that just by living in Puerto Rico is going to be some smaller version of what you can accomplish. So that is a little bit of background in terms of where I kind of came from and some of the things that you can see different ways in which we were able to finance various visions. We actually raised private capital for iCare. We were able to raise, in a way, government funding for the aerospace initiative, government funding, academic funding for SNAP, and then we actually raised private funding, friends and family, and some Angels Plus customers for my first company in California. Now, we're going to switch gears and then talk about starting up a community in Puerto Rico. Now, it's fair to say starting up a community, Guayacán in particular, which Francisco is chairman of, has been pushing entrepreneurship in Puerto Rico for quite some time. The element that I feel we brought to the picture was the community element, a more grassroots approach to entrepreneurship. So one of the elements, and this is not all in time, I'm going to mess with time, but the order, it makes sense to me, maybe not you. But one of the very first things that happen in the life of an idea is really discovering people who love what they're doing, who don't think of writing code in particular, because that's my area, as a 9-to-5 thing. And I'm going to download the Oracle manuals and the MSDN manuals. I never read any of this stuff. The people that would come a weekend, spend 24 hours writing code in order to come up with ideas to show off to each other, love writing software. And those are the people that you can build real companies around. The person who organizes this in Puerto Rico is Yamil Azulta. He's a student at UPR Minus. So we are beginning to build a community around two hackathons up to now. We're building that community of people who just love technology. They love doing what they're doing. Then we thought, and this is actually back in time, hey, how can we get world-class mentors into Puerto Rico? Skype. We put together, Ramses and I, put together an evening. We had Jason Cohen, very successful entrepreneur out of Austin, coach a couple of us on how to pitch, and then we were able to go into the program This Week in Startups with Jason Calacanis. This Week in Startups, have you ever heard about this? It's basically a startup program on the internet. Jason's incredibly successful. He started in Gadget, for example. And we were able to pitch him. This is the Luis M. Lord from Brainbent, and we were out here in Puerto Rico pitching him online. So, access to mentors, that was just like the first crack. The second crack was Startup Weekend. Now we have, as you may know, it's a process where in 3 days, you go from identifying customers, research, customer validation, writing code, pitching, developing a business model, and boom. And just by Sunday night, you put together a company. And there had been one startup weekend that happened, I think, in 2009 or so, just to come out, a one-off. And then we started to regularize this practice. So we've had 2 startup weekends, one in 2010 and another one in 2012. Around building, again, a community around people that like to spend weekends building companies, not going to the beach. As a matter of fact, one of the people here who is in UBS, who's our friend at UBS? Victor Donatini. It was his anniversary. He was wedding anniversary. When he told me that, I was like, oh, you're dead man. This is not looking good. But, he was there, and she was totally happy that he was there for his dream. And so that's 90% of the game. Finding people who love doing what they're doing. And guess what? When it came time for Startup Weekend, Trondheim, which is a city in Norway, to launch, who was the facilitator for that? It was Rafi Castro. Startup Weekend is a global network. So it's not just about bringing these resources to Puerto Rico, it's about us helping the rest of the world to start up. It's a network, it's a community, it's not a one-directional thing. It's the language we're used to very much in Puerto Rico. Llegó a Puerto Rico, por primera vez en Puerto Rico. Because some cargo from the US. Don't think that. The people in Puerto Rico, have developed enough sophistication to be of contribution to the rest of the world. So, everyone heard of Steve Blank? Steve Blank. Okay, he's the most important person in entrepreneurship today, bar none. I love his blog, And in 2010, January 2010, I basically wrote him, and he said, "I like how to read your blog." Anybody could have read it. And I basically said, "Hey, by the way, I'm creating my own podcast for myself on your blog, so I can just listen to it, because I don't have time to read your blog." And so he agreed. And so with Professor Steve Blank, now we publish a podcast from Puerto Rico. We've been doing this for 3 years now, of his writing. So basically this is like, for example, he was just in China, and here's our startup series, and we now have that relationship. You know, I mean, when I went to California, I was like, "Hey, Steve, I'm going in." Boom, top of Silicon Valley. All because, you know, I basically wrote him an email and said, "Hey, I want to work on this with you. Do you want?" And he said, "Yes." You know, so the world is totally open. Totally open. Totally open if you're willing to participate. Brad Feld, who is another icon of the community, was saying, "Hey, whenever people approach me, I just give them a little assignment. It takes 1 hour to do, a little assignment. 80% of the people don't do it. But the others get classified as doers, and then eventually get into the network." So building community is a matter of participating, showing up, and do it. What did that turn into? In last year, when he started an accelerator called Next, we ran it in Puerto Rico. Ramphis led that. And Ramphis also started teaching that the Lean Launchpad, which is Steve's marquee program at the University of Puerto Rico. And guess what? Who is going to be facilitating Lean Launchpad this summer at Stanford University with Steve Blank? Ramphis. Ramphis Capital. Un aplauso. So it's us in Puerto Rico that are helping the rest of the world to start up. That is the community that we're building in Puerto Rico. Founder Institute. Founder Institute is a global network founded in Silicon Valley, 40% in over 40 cities, with over 1,200 mentors that has launched 750 companies around the world. We call Tadeo Resi, the founder of Founder Institute. Incredible entrepreneur out of Silicon Valley. But the most important thing is that we were able to put together a program in Puerto Rico with the sponsorship of believers. Believers like Eugenio Torres of Ferrayuli and Gabriel Hernandez of BDO. They backed us. They said, "You guys are crazy, you guys are foolish, and that's why we're going to back you." And we were able then to get mentors, such as Francisco Uriarte, who's sitting right there, and a bunch of other people from Silicon Valley, Rajesh is from Silicon Valley, from Puerto Rico. This guy is an animal. He sold a company to Yahoo for $100 million. Siv, he runs a company in Silicon Valley worth about $300 million. Bob Dorff, who is Steve Blank's partner, and a bunch of this guy is now the CIO of Puerto Rico, of the government of Puerto Rico. And a bunch of other people. This guy started house surfing. This guy's Carlos Cobian, who's up there. A bunch of people gave of their time to mentor a new generation of startups to launch. From the US, from Puerto Rico. That's the kind of community that we now have. And guess what? I had the opportunity to go to Silicon Valley and deliver my talk actually on vision and values, which is kind of about staying foolish. Because, as you can see, I'm an expert in that. And give it in Silicon Valley and in Paris. I was just doing that. I didn't go to Paris. I actually just did it over Skype. But again, we are starting the world up. We're doing it from Puerto Rico.
Marco. I think we're running out of time.
Okay, we're gonna move along. As a sequel to Founder Institute, we put together a mastermind group called Founder Drive. And from that Founder Institute class, we kept on posting on these companies. iGenApps competed effectively as a finalist in California, competed effectively in DC in something called Distill Intelligence. Keynote Star, the founder of this company, just achieved what we call liberation. He has over 1 million downloads of his app, and enough income. He's a padre de familia, he supports the whole family, but he is now generating enough income that he is free. He is free to pursue what he wants, and he's doing it in Puerto Rico. Memory Palace, I don't have time. Incredible company. You'll hear about Sebastian Moneta and what he's doing. We've also been able to put together TEDx, which is like a TED conference from Puerto Rico. It was world class. Don't take my word for it. It really was. Anybody could have done it. We took the initiative. We did it. Now we're bringing new knowledge from Puerto Rico to the world. And for the party set every month, Axel Rivera runs a social. It's become the center of our community. This is our clubhouse, which we're beginning to build. And as Christine mentioned, we are extending that network around the world through Pacaranda, which is our network. We have a wonderful network of people, including Silicon Valley. Aldo at Raise Capital. This guy just his company got bought out. He was employee number 15, just got bought by Facebook a couple days ago. Miguel is at Twitter. Alexei is the CTO of Evernote, Puerto Ricanos. That's part of the network. And we've gotten coverage. This is the next web. People are beginning to notice that Puerto Rico is a place to go for startups. Bar camps. Digital Creative Conference, that's happening today. It's beginning to be the case that some of these things are happening that we can't be at all of them. And the Pacaranda Global Summit, that same group, the event is going to happen at the end of the month. So the message is, the network is not the computer, the network is the community. And we are totally wired. In these days, because the internet provides for this opportunity to build a global startup community, a node of which is in Puerto Rico, you can, in a way, have it all. So thank you very much.
So now we're going to briefly hear about tax incentives. Gabriel Hernandez is the head of the tax division at BDO, a firm that he founded together with Mr. Fernando Peter 13 years ago. He specializes in providing tax consulting services to clients in all aspects of U.S. and PR taxation.
Any computer? So, first of all, I am super happy to be here and incredibly energized by the premise that we have what it takes to help the island get to the next level. It's right within us. It's here. It's in the island. So it's the power of us taking care of things. So the tax incentives are summarized and discussed in a webpage that we created. It's called www.accountabilityexit.com. And in there we've created content that is on a case study format to assist people to place themselves within the context of the relevant tax incentives to which they may apply. But let me give you one storyline which is probably relevant to you guys and how these incentives could play for you. Let's assume for a moment that you come up with this great idea, and so you ask yourself, what should I do next? So you hire a couple of consultants, and one of them realizes that they think that you should look into Puerto Rico as a place to evolve and take this idea to the next place. So you do this, and when you come to Puerto Rico, you consult with Henry in Ferrayoli, and Henry tells you that U.S. patent laws are enforced in Puerto Rico. So whatever it is you're doing will be protected both by local Puerto Rico patent law as well as U.S. patent law. So that is the first thing you wanted to make sure of, and you're covered. Next, you know that all laws that the federal government has are in full force and effect in Puerto Rico too. So you feel right now that you are in a jurisdiction where there is law and order and there is a judicial system, so you feel a bit better now. So the next thing you do is you come to my office and you tell me about this great idea and then you want to move forward. So I tell you that we should go and visit the Department of Economic Development. Because we need to get you a tax grant, but maybe a couple of tax grants. So the first tax grant will allow you to generate income from this activity if it's successful, of course, and you make money. And the income generated by this idea, if structured properly, would only be subject to a 4% income tax rate. And you're thinking, more money, more power to me, I'll have more money to invest in ongoing projects. So, and then you ask me, what about the money that I'll make when I sell this company? You know, what will happen to it? And I tell you the same thing. I tell you, if this is very successful and you really make it, you're only going to pay 4% tax rate on this capital gain. So, if I want to compare this situation to California, you would have paid 56% of tax on your net profits, leaving you less than half of that money to reinvest in your business. And on your capital gain, you probably get a 30% overall haircut on account of taxes. So the financial commitment that is required to take on your business and raise it within Puerto Rico is a much more compelling proposition. And, you know, I browsed through a couple of very, targeted statistics about Puerto Rico that I just wanted you to comment on. These are very, very, very important statistics that I wanted you to know. Travel and Leisure magazine, in its American Favorite City survey, chose San Juan as a #1 city in the United States. And we were also selected for the most attractive people. I just want to share that with you. Thank you.
So one of the good things about being the last one in a panel is that you at least have a chance to show or fool the audience into thinking that you're smarter than the other two guys. The drawbacks is that you might get crowded out, and I think that's been the case.